there's this self-hatred. And I think all like self-hatred and I'm too overly analytical and like I notice all these things about myself is inherently narcissistic. And I think that if you can point that out and capture that, you're often funny.
Are you going by Lea for this?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
name. Yeah.
I feel you.
I feel like people
They already know you as that.
call me Leah and Leia. It's technically Leia,
That makes sense.
but
Is that how it's pronounced? Even like, you said your dad's Soviet, right?
they're all Soviets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Leia there, but like all my friends growing up call me Leah. I
Really?
don't mind either.
I hear you.
Yeah, I never correct people on either. I don't care.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 3 younger sisters.
Okay. In
Touch
Oh, wow. So you're an
about it,
older
yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
Wow.
amazing.
Oh, you're the oldest?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
By a long shot.
Three sisters.
Oh, okay.
And
My
they're
bad.
all
Babies.
babies.
Yeah.
I was listening. Sure.
Absolutely. So you like hanging out with them though? That's super fun.
Yeah, I love them. They're babies. I like babies.
Babies are a blast, absolutely,
they're
unless
cool.
they're shitting. I don't even mind if they cry. I don't want them to poop on me.
That is scary.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
not my favorite.
hasn't happened.
Yeah. So Leia, you've done comedy, right? That's how I think I first saw you. I think I might have first seen you at somewhere in Raleigh. What's that place with the stage?
Good nights.
Good Nights. Yeah. Before they demolished it, right? Or they're in the process
Yeah.
of demolishing it.
I know they did. It's a relic.
Oh no.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing stand up? Tell us how you got into that. Or is stand up what you want to do, or maybe that's not what you want to do. Tell us what it is that you would like to do in the future. Are you gonna follow in the steps of your dad or
Granddad. Her granddad.
granddad? You're a better listener than I am, Andy.
Well, I guess like I actually did consider doing physics for a while.
Really?
But I went to school for film. And that's really what I want to pursue. During the pandemic, I was like watching a lot of old like Louis C.K. and Norm Macdonald stuff, and
Sure.
I kind of just wanted that. One of the only like creative things you could still do was stand-up comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and my boyfriend's friend kind of was interested in it, so we were just like, why don't we just like fuck it, like let's just
Yeah.
do it.
Absolutely. Do it live.
And that was like a year ago, probably. And I guess I've been doing it kind of on and off. The thing is like, I don't often come with anything to say. I just kind of get on stage and start talking.
Mm-hmm.
And very often that's not funny to people. So I don't really see myself as a stand-up at all. And I know this is like, I kind of find it embarrassing to be a comedian personally, like
Yeah.
for myself.
I love it. Why? Let's dig into that.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of people that are super hyped that actually wear it as a badge. Like a lot of people that you might see at the scene, they're like, "Oh, I'm Mr. Comedian in this small patch of land." All right.
Right. I mean, that's just a different kind of personality.
Oh, but I would love to know because as far as I knew you, I've seen you do comedy. And besides doing the other podcast, the unnamed podcast, which is great. You should watch it. I don't think I'm on camera, but that's fine. It's okay. So it's film. Sorry to interrupt you. Right?
No, you're fine.
And so, what is it that you don't like about comedy? Because some would argue that you do go and do comedy sometimes.
Yeah,
Right?
sometimes. It's not that I don't like it. I actually love stand-up comedy a lot, and I've watched it my whole life. And I like grew up. Most of my life, I was an only child.
Sure.
So there's a lot of time spent in my room watching stand-up comedy, or just like I used to fall asleep to Louis C.K.'s TV show like every night.
So you really enjoy it. I mean, obviously you have a love and a passion maybe for stand-up comedy?
Yeah, it's for sure. I think like my thing is like I think the comedian is like should be the modern day archetype of the court jester. And I kind of don't think that's something, like, I think you should take comedy itself seriously as a comedian, but by no means should you take yourself seriously.
Sure.
So if I am to do stand up, which I have and at times do, I don't want to take it I don't want to take myself very seriously at all.
Sure. Never buy into your own hype, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I have no hype, and I don't think I'm good at it, and I don't think I ever will be, but that's not really the point. I kind of like to, like, waste people's time a little bit, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, because it does sometimes feel like there's nowhere to go with comedy and stand-up in particular, due to a lot of reasons.
I totally agree with you, by the way, on that. Like, right? But go on. I'll tell you in a minute.
No, totally. I don't stop me, because I will just, like...
Do you find yourself, do you find yourself maybe being lended more towards writing since you already have that love of film?
Yeah, I definitely I prefer to write, but as you can tell, I also like to hear myself talk. So, I don't know, it's a toss.
Welcome to the club. We're all in that club.
Be in front of the camera or behind the camera?
Behind for sure. Yes, that's
maybe
the thing.
Documentaries.
I'm not. No,
a little bit of both, right?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I think, like, that is my biggest problem with the doing stand-up thing, is I like being in the, like, room with the people there. I don't like the idea of, like, putting yourself out there in other ways. Like, I don't really like posting myself on Instagram. I don't really like I don't want attention for attention's sake.
Sure, it feels a little invasive. I get it.
Yeah, and there's something sort of, like, unholy about it.
Absolutely. It's kind of grotesque.
Yeah, it's a little
bit.
grotesque. But no shame to anybody. I do other
100%,
grotesque things, for sure.
For sure. We all have our vices. I got off social media like 4 years ago.
Good for you.
The longer you go without it, the easier it is to just go, I don't really
give a shit about it. Yeah.
But, know, what I really love is YouTube. So you can't give that up because I'm not a Quaker,
That's right. What do you watch on YouTube?
Mostly DIY stuff,
really?
honestly. Yeah, I use it as a tool.
It is a tool.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
I love that.
What do you watch on YouTube?
I have some, like, favorite go-tos.
Let's hear about some of those. And
well, I really enjoy that old Vine. That's, like, the edit of Alex Jones, where he's, like, chasing
It's a folk song?
Huh?
Alex Jones is a folk song?
I don't think so. No, it's the one where they've edited, like, music behind him when he's chasing that guy down and calling him a coward.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like, come here, coward.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't like it?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
I'll catch the remix.
Yeah, there's a great remix where it's Alex Jones. It's an indie song. Maybe you can pull it up in your phone.
Alex Jones as a...
indie song. It's by Bon Ivers. I don't know if you know the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny. So you're a big Alex Jones fan, is what you're saying.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
I think he's a really great performance artist.
I agree. Like, I think, like, I tell Andie, like, I'm not gonna take any advice from him, but as a comedian, he's hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've had the honor of shaking Alex Jones' hands when I was I went on Kill Tony last year.
Wow.
All right. Well, I had just started comedy, so there was nothing wow about it. But
that's neat.
I'm so glad that it was the Alex Jones episode. There you go.
The paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. Yeah. See, I like this because he is sort of like a poet in a way.
Yes, Alex Jones is a poet.
Well, he's so, like, metaphysical and speaks of, like, these forces and, like, symbolism.
Yeah.
100%.
He's like, well, the globalists, the globalists are, they want to take over. There's this whole globalist,
That's really good. Oh, can I move
very
this
intense.
a little?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God, because I was like,
feel a little unnatural.
Yes, I was like.
Oh wow! So no comedy, great. Well, that's something that we're learning about. That's so cool. And what kind of films would you like to do?
Ooh, I have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Which
film would you remake?
Would I
and get it right?
I Well, you definitely shouldn't remake good movies.
No?
Never, because well, I feel like
I was going to say, recently we've had some really kind of banger remakes. Wouldn't you say?
maybe I would say I don't know, the Suspiria remake was like its own new thing. I thought that was
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
What if I came to you and I'm like, listen, I want you to remake Winnie the Pooh, but all the characters are going to be played by Nicolas Cage. Can you do it?
Is he already on board?
He's on board.
He's on the project?
There's a paycheck, so
100%.
he's 100% on board.
I would do that.
It's a working actor.
I think I could make that really interesting.
Yeah, pitch us your version of Nicolas Cage playing all the characters in Winnie the Pooh.
Well, I'd probably throw like a Moonstruck reference in there for the fans. And I don't, does he play Christopher Robin too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. See, then that would be an interesting like psychological kind
Yeah.
of thriller.
Oh, what if
kinda
it's like, have you ever
thing.
seen the movie Identity with John Cusack?
Yes.
Well, you can basically do a version of Identity
Yeah, that'd
where
be
his
good.
personality is
Winnie the Pooh.
fractured
Yeah.
into all the
Nicolas Cage.
characters
Well,
of
that
Winnie the Pooh.
guy is really good, actually. I would
amazing.
watch
I
that.
watched that.
He'd be so intense too.
He's
You
like-
can really get that to that like
yeah.
painful place.
Absolutely, and then you find out that he's in Asylum for the Insane, and guess who else is in that asylum? Mr. Glass. You hook it into the whole Unbreakable
It's really
series.
I thought you were going to say A.A. Milne. So,
Who?
whoever wrote Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, please.
This is how art is made. Discussions like this.
Absolutely.
I totally get what you're saying with where you're talking about the fact that a comedian needs to be egoless. Like you can't have an ego. You can't take yourself seriously, because if you take yourself seriously, then you lose the perspective of being on the outside. So you can never, it's almost, you can call everything out, but you can never hold any office. Like you should be hampered by that. All of a sudden, you're a jester. You're not here. You have a valuable job, but that job's not going to lead to any titles or any, accolades, right? I see too many people, right, chasing that algorithm, chasing that, the clicks, the likes, what people are going to like. And I think I relate with you on that I tell Andie, Joe Rogan has this saying, it's like, don't read the comments. First of all, there's never anything good that's going to come out of that. And I'll give you another quote from somebody else. There's a Grant Cardone. If nobody knows you, you're not going to have haters. The moment that your name starts getting known, the haters are going to come out. You can't ignore the haters. It's a byproduct. It actually lets you know that you're doing well, as long as you also have fans, because you're going to start dividing people. This mass appeal to everything is actually breaking people, because no longer people are completely consumed in the image that they're showing to the outside world, as opposed to cultivating what they actually are. And it can become a feedback loop with that, like chasing what's popular, right? Or what's all of a sudden, because I was talking to Andie, I'm like, you literally cannot let it affect you. It's great numbers or whatever, but the moment you start reading, it all of a sudden poisons the well of your art. All of a sudden, you're not unclean, because you're going to get those dopamine hits from the good comments. Oh, people like how I act this way. All of a sudden, you start playing to a tribe, and then you're tribal. And then before you know it, like, you have lost the individuality that you had yourself. That's what made you interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, I think like I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think and I don't know who's right or wrong, or I think like my one thing is like I do think comedians should not be, well, maybe they should be egoless, but I almost think the perfect comedian is often narcissistic, in the sense that they do rely on validation from other people, which is why they seek out that validation from other people. And on top of that, there's this self-hatred. And I think all like self-hatred and, oh, I'm too overly analytical, and like I notice all these things about myself is inherently narcissistic. And I think that if you can point that out and capture that, you're often funny.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the thing about haters is, I totally agree. Like, yeah, there's nothing like being hated on this scale when people do know who you are, I'm sure. But at the same time, like, I feel like at least me, I'm not super agreeable all the time. I've tried to be, and it doesn't really work for me.
Sure.
So there are people who absolutely hate my guts. I mean, I could write a whole list of people who absolutely despise me. And I'm not known at all. So I'm
So you're like, I'm looking forward to stacking on some
I'm
more.
fully prepared. There are people who just do not like
Bring
me.
on the hate.
Some with good reason and some with none at all. Some people just immediately do
Some
not
people are
like me.
assholes,
Yeah.
so,
But some people dislike me for very justified reasons.
I've certainly, surely given some people in my life plenty of reason to dislike me. And you know what?
It is what it is.
It's just, you got to move on.
Yeah.
It's unless you've genuinely injured somebody that you care
Well,
about,
tell
you
me,
know?
both of you, because this is very juicy. What are, and you don't have to say any names, situations where you both say that there's people that you, and maybe it's a miscommunication. Maybe you have actually done something, no names, completely vacuum, and you can be like something like this, not exactly that.
Sure.
What is it that's something that you could do that's, you know?
You ready? Go for
I'm
it.
gonna go first.
No,
Me?
you go for it. Let's hear it.
I think the people that really despise me do come from a period of my life where I was trying to be maybe more of an agreeable person. And so I didn't say things I should have early on enough. So then things build and build and build. And then they just blow up. And people hate you and you... I don't really hate anybody, but I do like... That's my worst thing is I just completely... I'm a big ghoster of people. Anybody. I mean, I don't...
So you burn the bridges?
I'm not
You're
very
a bridge burner, you just...
yeah, I'm not very sentimental. I could live without anyone, to be honest.
I hear you.
For the rest,
That's very Soviet of you, I gotta tell you.
yeah,
That's,
well, I don't know. I don't. People are never I never see anyone as permanent in my life ever.
Sure.
And so when they're gone, I do not miss them. I don't.
This is taking a dark turn.
Hey, Rihanna's like, can you top that? I mean, Andy.
God damn it.
I will.
You'll edit
censor
that
it.
out.
Andy, can you top that?
Can I top that about in the pessimism?
No, you said like we were talking about.
Okay. About people that. So I guess, when I was younger, I would say definitely when I was more, I guess, a selfish person.
Yes,
I
that's a
was
part of
more
it.
prone to being harmful to the people around me and being not very aware of it. So it's like, okay, do I go back 20 years, 25 years and tug on people's shoulder and say, I'm so sorry that one time
Right.
that it kind of made you a little bit upset and I hurt your feelings? Like,
Yeah.
why dredge up the past? It wasn't that bad, and we were all teenagers once. Calm down. You know?
I think, yeah, I would say that too. Like when you are younger, I mean, I just turned 25 and I feel like when I was...
Happy you're belated. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like before your frontal lobe comes in,
Absolutely.
you kind of are so selfish and
You're
do
a
so
little
many
badger
harmful
person.
things.
You're just
I know.
digging around, just
I know.
hurting people and scraping them up, and then they lock you in a high school with each other, and they're just like, tear each other apart, teenagers. It's a
That's
terrible
true,
place.
too. Well, I feel like even outside of high school, I've definitely done some pretty
Sure,
like
yeah.
shitty things to
Oh,
people
20-year-olds
that
are
I
terrible.
would totally, if given the chance, apologize for
Sure.
to people. But I'm also like, I'm not gonna bother
I'm not
them.
going to seek them out.
No,
it's
I feel like that
weird.
would be very selfish of me.
It's incredibly selfish.
Because it would
Thank
be
you.
just to make me feel better.
100%. It's a selfish act. But you know, what do they say? There are no selfish acts because, well, no, there are no acts of charity, because every act of charity is a selfish act, because every act of charity makes you feel good.
Whatever makes you sleep at night.
Yeah, that's why I don't do anything nice or charitable, because it's selfish.
I hear you. I hear ya.
Speaking about a charitable role, do you give people to give money to people on the street at the corner?
I do.
You do. Okay,
Yeah.
that's charitable.
Your bum fund? Do you keep one in your car? Your bum fund?
Yeah, if I have cash on me.
Or
I
is
give it to
it,
people.
Yeah.
or is it not charitable? And do you hope that they'll do drugs and kill themselves?
Goodness.
What is the motivation?
What is the motivation?
I just don't see why not. Like if
Mm.
I have
More
money and
Sure.
I have not been in a great financial place for a long time. Recently it's better, but I feel like if I have it, they're obviously I mean, I'm not on the street.
Oh,
Asking for money.
you weren't getting paid to produce the show?
No.
You did
Volunteer
it
work.
for the
That was
for the
my one act of
publicity?
charity.
Oh wow.
I'm looking for the tax
There
return.
you go. You do
Yeah.
do charity after all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you
We
should
would pay people that helped us
I
in
was
our
gonna
show.
say,
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, thanks for
Jesus.
coming and being on our
We're
show.
free.
No,
This
I
was
like,
free.
I'm happy to. I love anyone who wants
first-
to let me talk.
Absolutely, yeah. Be on the front side of the camera. Well, we loved having you here, but
Yeah, thank you.
We're just getting started. You're like, oh, see ya. You were like, we love
see ya.
having you here.
Yeah.
You know.
No. What was the question that you asked? I'm sorry, I lost it.
Oh, do I give money to people in the street?
Oh yeah.
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 Fun fund. Okay, so you do give money to like if you
Andy
stop
used
your
to
car
as well.
and-
Well, because
I
the
did used
government
to.
doesn't take care of anybody.
That's I mean.
And then
You know, I
and
hear
then the
both
argument,
arguments.
Huh?
I hear both arguments being made that the government doesn't take care of people and that the government takes too much care of people, and I can't
I hear
get it
both
right.
too.
well, same.
The
but
thing is,
mean,
I don't care very much, and if I see someone who, like, obviously needs it more than me in the moment, and what am I gonna do with that? Like,
Yeah.
why not?
Question.
And I just don't really think too much about it.
Question for you: if it didn't make you feel good, would you still do it?
I don't think I feel very much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it made you feel bad, would you still do it?
That's a good question. I don't know how it would make me feel bad. Well, that is the thing, is you do hear both arguments, like, oh, you're helping them, or oh, you're harming them, and I get very like, I don't know what I think about it.
Yeah.
So
You're like, here's a gun. I don't
so
know what
that-
you're gonna do with it,
that-
but
right. Well,
think
that's
that much about it other than in the moment you see somebody and you've
Right.
got more than them, and I mean I get that you know,
yeah.
compassion, absolutely.
Well, and the other thing is too, is like, if someone's giving me a gift, or someone gave me money and was like, okay, but only spend it on this, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. I don't want that.
Absolutely.
So
Why
you
the
hate gift
fuck-
cards? Do you hate gift cards? Still like a
Well,
star?
that's-
Wait, but people don't usually tell you where to spend your gift card, right? Oh,
If they buy the store.
oh, what if they gave you a Starbucks gift card? And
Well,
you're
that's
like,
great.
I'm morally
That is
opposed.
not an issue. For, a Starbucks gift is not an issue.
What if they gave you a Home Depot gift card? Can you make use of that?
Mhm.
What about
Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get a
what?
lot of hats.
That's
They're
great.
cute.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, what that would be a good question, right? Like,
Where is a gift card that you would not use, that you
Yeah.
would be offended to receive?
Kohl's,
you know,
Kohl's would
Old
be so
Navy.
offensive.
I'd be like, oh, fuck you.
And Taylor
fuck you.
Loft.
Yeah. Oh, can
Dress
am I allowed
Barn.
to cuss?
yeah. We either leave it in or censor it, depending on how much time we have.
Yeah.
We're not monetized yet, so right now all we care is
It's a
about
little,
views and
loosey-goosey.
subscribers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
But yeah. Yeah, those places are garbage. for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, no, I don't want to make anyone feel bad for shopping it either. I have a personal vendetta against.
beer?
I don't need a beer. Not right now. I have a personal vendetta against Old Navy.
What'd they do to you? How did they hurt you?
They really didn't do anything, but they're taking the fall for it. Someone stole my identity and took out an Old Navy credit line,
Mm-hmm.
and I have yet to get that off my credit score.
I hear you. No.
I've contested it so many times, and
Yeah.
they just haven't.
Somebody stole my credit card and bought a mattress from Walmart. And I was like,
Uh,
come on.
I mean, I feel bad because I'm like, well, I guess they probably needed
That's
they
what I
needed
said.
it.
but
So I
at
don't.
the
I'm not
same
mad at
time-
them, but I'm like, can you guys just?
Can we fix this?
Can we
please?
just, like,
yeah,
fix
can we
that?
Fix this? Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want the person to like get in trouble or anything, which I'm just like, can I have a better credit score again? Because I had a pretty good one, and now it's
You
like,
know what? You'll fix it. You're so young. It'll be, 7 years before you know it.
I like that you think I'm young. Everyone on Twitter thinks I'm old.
That's so funny.
You know, the people that matter, people on Twitter.
The people on Twitter thinks you're old?
25 is old on Twitter, I've heard.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I must be like
That's what they're telling me.
Ancient. I'm like a mummy.
That's what the people are saying.
That's what the people say. Whatever. I'm having a renaissance. I don't give a shit.
No, I'm telling you, we're the patriarchy.
This
know?
is
We're
the
the
worst
patriarchy?
renaissance ever.
You're over 35. You're the patriarchy.
Wait, what renaissance?
I'm having a renaissance.
Oh, I'm sorry, not yours. Not your personal one. I'm so sorry. I thought you meant more broad.
Your
but-
personal ones. No.
No, your personal one I don't know anything about, but
She's
I'm
like,
sure
I'm
it's
about to
great.
make somebody.
I'm sure it's great.
I did
Thumbs
not
up.
mean you.
She's like, I'm gonna make somebody
Tears
not
up.
like me for the right reasons.
That's right. Oh yeah, I spend this whole show just insulting you and making you not like me. Cheers.
Feel like got another one. That'd be a great troll. You just go around
That would be
podcast just
great.
insulting
You're
everybody.
Right. Right.
You should just paint an entire trope based off of that.
Wow. If anyone could do it, it's me.
Yes, you could. I believe in you.
So how did you get to meet the whole crew, right? Because I thought it was through comedy. You're not a comedian, but you said your boyfriend is, right? Or was?
No. My boyfriend's friend, but now my very good friend Dylan.
Oh, okay.
We
does
met him the
stand-up.
other day,
Yeah.
didn't we? Ah, nice guy. Yeah, he was great.
I did do comedy and did it on and off, very
Yeah.
half-heartedly. And that is how I met everybody.
Okay.
But
But
then
you do enjoy it.
yeah, I like the people a lot. I like hanging out with those
Where did you
weird
live before?
freaks.
The area? Did you move here recently?
I moved here right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Okay. Where'd you move from?
I was in Asheville actually for a little bit.
Oh, wow. How'd you like that?
I hated it.
Yeah.
More than-
Really? It's supposed to be beautiful. You didn't like it?
It is beautiful. It's
Okay.
a great place to visit.
Oh.
And
I agree.
I'm sure it's great if you're super rich.
Is that right?
But
Or super woke?
Is there a lot of older people or is it like a more young crowd?
Well, the thing is, like, there's some
crowd?
really nice areas, but there's a lot of not, like, poor areas. And I don't really know. You tell me, because I've only been there like a week at a time at most. But you live there, so maybe you can give us some insight.
yeah, well, I don't really know about like I don't know.
Biltmore's
the
there,
stinking
right?
wound in Asheville? What's the thing that you're just like, this will make me never come back?
I
F this
just
town.
didn't really. There are some like really great people there,
Of course.
for sure.
Yeah,
People
there's,
can
As
make the
with
place.
Any terrible.
there's a
place.
great hostel right on Main Street
It's
or
like
whatever
high
the Main
school.
Street
We make
is.
our best friends in high school. That's a really terrible place.
There, I think to be honest though, I probably don't like Asheville because I was just like, was going through something. It was probably like the worst person I've ever been when I was there. So that's probably why.
Okay.
It's not really those people,
left-
but I don't really get along with like, that kind of person. Like I don't know if I want to share that publicly.
Okay, that's
That's
fine.
all right. Well, but the thing is you left old
Yeah.
Lea in Asheville and forget Asheville.
That's true.
in your rear view.
Yeah.
It's all right. Just give it 10 years. You're not going to give a
That's
fuck about
right.
any
Yeah,
of it.
for
you
real.
know, like-
Yeah. You'll be like, Ash who? Ash what?
I feel like
You'll be like, I'll tell him and say, I hope he hears it. Or she hears it.
but if you want
100%.
I hope you're right. I feel like if
It
you want to
gets
talk about
funnier.
people who don't like me, most of them are there,
Oh,
and a lot of them have some pretty legitimate
Just
reasons.
do, you know.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah,
How many cities would you say that you have left behind where you can't go back?
that would be the one. But I could definitely go back. I don't know. It might be unpleasant to run into certain people, but I could go back. The only other place I've lived besides here is New York, and I think I left that in good shape. Some good friends there. So
There's enough turnover there that by the time you go back, it'll be all new people anyway.
that is
so.
true. But I do like my people there.
Why North Carolina? Did you move here with family?
Well, I was born here. I was born in Raleigh.
Oh, hold on. So you were born in Raleigh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good cover story.
I don't work for the CIA.
Okay, so you were born in Raleigh, and okay, so you left for a while for New York, and then a while for Asheville, and then what brought you back? Home. This is where home is.
Well, actually, yeah. So my mom lives in Raleigh, and so I went to school in New York, and then I transferred to school in Asheville for some godforsaken reason. And then I was on spring break here, and the pandemic hit, and they were like, school is over now. School is on your computer now. And I was already having I was having a really bad falling out with a friend that I lived with at the time. And
Never live with friends.
it was terrible. I really hate that because I that's a situation I feel really bad about.
Yeah.
I really liked that person a lot. But
You can come back around. I had a similar
yeah.
with a childhood friend. Like, we lived together for about a year. Only roommate that I've ever had. I didn't talk to her for 3 years.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit. Well,
But we're good friends now again. And honestly, we snap, and it's great. I love her very much. We have lunch occasionally.
That's lovely.
I adore her.
I like that. That's lovely. That does make me feel better.
Yeah.
I think the real thing is like I'm terrible to live with. I have never, other than my freshman year of college, I've always been like had a terrible time with roommates. I'm the problem.
Why are you the problem?
Well, I think that's what Andie noticed when she lived with somebody else, and she's like,
Yeah.
she's like, sorry, old roommate, I
Yeah.
thought it was you the whole time.
It was.
I think it was me.
It's
Yeah.
me.
It was
Yeah.
me a little bit.
I'm the worst.
But the thing of it is that, really I have discovered what it is about having roommates is that you just can't care about anything. You have to you should be like, you know what? I used to live a certain way, and now that has changed.
You know what? That's
true.
a funny
Now,
enough call.
That has, I used to like things a certain way,
Yeah.
and that's what it means to live with somebody else. Is that you don't like things a certain way anymore, but you get a different way that maybe you like better.
Yeah, I don't like it better.
You don't like
I
it
know.
better yet?
I think I like to be alone. I like to be alone a lot.
Yeah.
I hear
lot.
that. I hear
Yeah, because people can blow your cover.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like to be. Yeah, I just prefer it, and I think when I was younger, I was not good at expressing that.
Sure.
So then you do.
blow up at people.
Do you think it's
sometimes.
because you were the older you were kind of an only child for a while, right?
That's absolutely totally it. Only child syndrome. World revolves around me.
Sure.
Probably. Yeah. I think I've broken that inside of myself.
It's just
a
getting
little
used to
bit.
stuff, probably, right? Like if you're just used to doing things your own way, like we were talking with Andie, right? We're both very independent people that are, used to do things our own way. I have gone to the place where like, oh yeah, whatever. If things happen, things will happen, right? Because I've had a lot of roommates.
He's had a lot of roommates.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've had a lot of
yeah.
roommates through the past, and
I've had
for
one.
a long time, I was the bad roommate.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
so?
Like to where like I've had I used to live in Boston, and my roommate got so pissed at me one night the dishes were on the sink and he was drunk. He started like throwing the dishes on the ground and breaking them. Like
Well,
it's
that
real.
I mean, it sounds like
Yeah, real
maybe
drunk
both of
Boston
y'all
piece
were
of
like-
shit. Yeah.
I
like,
love that. I love that kind of guy. Like
Yeah.
they're just sitting getting
They
angry.
just slap you around a couple times, Like.
Oh
Oh,
my
you
god.
know.
She said she likes the guy that's breaking glasses on the ground.
She likes passion.
I don't like passion. To be honest, I really don't.
You're like, I prefer bland,
It's very
actually.
in a man. Passion is like maybe at first you're like, oh, isn't that fun? But then it's like, God, oh
You
my
need to calm
God,
down, yeah.
can you
Okay.
relax? How can you
Expand
ever
on
suck-
this, please. Tell us that. This is great insight.
Well, I just personally prefer a very unemotional man. I do. I'd like for them to handle things on their own,
Yeah.
self-soothe.
Yeah.
Oh,
what do you mean? Like, so, okay. So they're them. Like, what do you mean them passionate, right? Because what if they're just passionate about, let's say, they're a CEO of
Yeah, or they
tech
rid of-
firm, right? They might be very passionate about what they do.
Or
and
they
be
break
like,
all the
My
dishes
boyfriend
when they get
is.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've dated that a few times. I would date like other artists and
Oh, artists. Yeah.
yeah,
Those are
that's
dangerous. Problematic.
like yeah, I've not yeah, and just maybe guys who feel a lot, and at first it's like, oh, this is this is nice, but very, very quickly that becomes extremely unattractive and extremely
you don't want a
unappealing.
sad boy. Nobody wants a sad boy. It sounds
a
nice.
sad boy or
Listen here, My Chemical Romance. We're really appreciating all of your vibe, but just keep it over there, maybe, like on the record, like.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a fellow woman,
I
you
can't
want someone who
handle it.
is stable and can hold things down for themselves. So you
Because
and you
let's
can
be
meet
honest,
them.
I'm gonna lose it, and I need somebody to be the stable one around here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, because you
No, I'm passionate for sure. Like that man that you don't like, I'm 100% breaking all the dishes.
I love it. I love it.
I've actually never broken any dishes.
But you did raise your hand at me to hit me the other day.
Oh, it doesn't count when it's a woman. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Just kidding.
No. Listen, I have no problem. Listen, if my mom said, if a woman hits you, hit her back. I have amended that, and it's like, if you're coming at me where I feel my life is in danger, I'm gonna stand my ground and I'm gonna neutralize the threat.
Sure.
That's about it.
But can I say though?
But I would never touch a woman with not even with the petal of a rose, as I was raised. Because I was Latino.
It's beautifully said.
Unless she's got a knife in her hand, then.
Well, that's one thing, and then I think it's perfectly fine.
What about a plate?
Yeah.
A plate. Well,
I'm a dish breaker, remember? Opa. No.
that's great. I love it. Oh, cheers to that. No, I'm not a dish breaker. I think like, as a man though, it's, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's fine to like block someone who's coming at you. I mean, you should probably break up with that person because they're
100%
crazy.
one time.
Yeah.
like they're not well.
They're not well.
They need to do some stuff.
Yeah.
But I also think like, I don't know, the whole thing is like that men are physically stronger than you, but they're not going to hurt you because they're supposed to be have like a set of morals and be righteous in a sense that they can be above that and not hurt you, and any physical interaction is to protect you, and they're supposed to protect you. I mean, this is like a little traditional but like,
sure, but we're the fairer sex, right?
Well, the thing is, like, we can know.
I mean, we feel that way about children, right? We would never hurt them. We would never let anything happen to them.
And we can just live in reality, right? Are we saying like pound for pound, right? Top athlete, weakest athlete to weakest athlete, right? There are going to be differences between the sexes, right?
Yeah.
And those differences, I think, are balanced out overall to where they're equal and complementary. Like Andie and I say all the time, right? Like, we're a team. There are things that I'm just not good at whatsoever. I'm sure if I really focus about that, I'm just not good at similarly, right? And on some things we are both capable. On both of them, sometimes we're both not, and we try to tackle both things as a team. And sometimes, it's an adjustment, right? You have to realize it's like, okay, operate on the principle of best intentions, right? If somebody's coming at you, let's say as you mentioned, a guy taking care of you, or just being, what do they call it? Just like any gentleman, chivalrous. There are two scenarios for that, right? Oh, this guy is just looking to take advantage of you or whatever. But the same pattern fits another behavior, right? Where the intention is different, right? Where it comes from a good place. And you don't throw out both of them just because you don't like one, right? There is merit to the other one potentially for some, if they value it, right? If people don't value it, then great. There's plenty of people that do love a sad boy,
Right. No, absolutely. And like, when I talk
not us, but
yeah, no, right, not us, yeah. No, like, absolutely. And like, even like, I just think you like shouldn't, no matter what relationship you're in, straight, whatever, like, you shouldn't be hitting the person. You're supposed to take care of each other. Like,
absolutely. Well, humans shouldn't hit other people.
Right. Well, absolutely. And like, sometimes it's justified.
Sometimes it's justified.
I do think.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. As a man, I think that there are.
I'm not talking about that. But no. I think just if you're having fights even with someone you're with at all, no matter if you're like straight, you're both girls, you're both non-binary, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Everybody included in this. If you're having fights or it escalates to the point of like breaking shit and screaming even, it's, you know,
Dangerous.
come
for
on.
sure.
Like you
I
maybe
don't
you're not
actually
right for
break
each
plates.
other.
I
I
just
don't
want to be
think.
clear.
Yeah.
I've never broken a dish.
No, no, no.
No, listen,
Yeah.
like
But you know, everybody
just
everybody
all
gets
kinds of
hot.
stuff.
I did when I was in college. We played this game where we would go get things from our homes, usually our parents' homes, and then old things, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and then we would throw them off the roof of the frat house.
that's fun.
Dishes, furniture, microwaves, couch did not
love
like
that.
satisfy like you would think because it was
That
three
sounds. Well,
stories.
how'd you get onto the roof? A couch?
The boys, I don't know.
Oh, they'll just lift stuff. Isn't
They'll
that
just
nice?
lift stuff. And
They
then
have
just
something to
do stuff, and
prove.
they are so motivated to prove that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't have to do anything except for watch this couch just get hurled off of a roof, and then it did this thing where it just like, bam, and it didn't explode or anything fun. I was like, that was anticlimactic.
Was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't as fun as it.
Well, because I mean, it
like-
just tipped over. It didn't like
Right.
smash. I wanted to smash the
It
microwave.
was too well
smashed.
made of a couch.
I guess.
It was a
Steel
good
frame.
couch.
It was a good.
Must have been an
couch. It was a
American couch, you
broiler.
know?
Must have been a good old fashioned American couch.
That's right. American
Wait,
made.
can I
in
ask a
North
question?
Carolina? Huh?
How did you guys meet?
We met like 6 years ago or so,
Yeah.
right? I used to live in Oklahoma,
Okay.
and we both used to use Tinder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Back before it was a cesspool.
Right, at the
Yeah.
beginning.
It was closer to the beginning. For
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, don't make us sound like you're that archaic.
Well, she was almost not allowed to
Well,
be
how-
on Tinder
you
when
guys are-
we were on Tinder.
Can I ask
Yeah.
how old you guys are?
37.
You're 37?
Yeah.
No shit.
I'm
Both of you?
37,
No shit.
Yeah.
yeah. Looking good.
I'm realizing a lot of my friends are like 37, 38, 39. I'm like, oh,
How old is
for you.
how old is our common friend? Like we have been trying to place.
Ooh.
You know our common
Oh,
friend.
yeah, yeah.
oh,
How old is-
We have literally.
Bill's age. Same age.
No way.
I don't even know what Bill's
good
age
for
is,
him.
but
42, 43? Yeah.
okay.
Well, you make that sound like it's ancient.
It's not.
He-
I know. That's
well,
what
you
I've
know what?
I
realized.
thought
They look
No,
great.
he-
No, they
but-
look great. You guys look
but he-
great. Like
but he
it
makes
makes me
himself-
excited to age. I'm not scared anymore because I'm
Yeah.
like,
take
oh,
your collagen, girl. Take your collagen.
I think
Okay,
you gotta
yeah, I'm
own
like
it.
Wear
you
your
know?
sunscreen.
yeah, for sure. I do every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're gonna own it. You know, like the hairs. My gray hair will come here. The hair on my back will continue to grow as I get older. You know, like it's.
And probably turn gray.
I
and
call
we'll
it
bring
my-
them into each other.
Hey, those
Love
are
that.
angel wings, okay?
Angel wings.
Do you want an angel? Well, that's what it takes. You know.
That's great.
Angel wings.
That's
I'm
really
gonna
good.
tell that to my brother. My brother has some serious back hair. When I was a kid, I used to narrate for him. And then
I love
I
that.
used to do in between his eyebrows and his back. If he
So
was
now it's
going.
just growing back even
He always grew
stronger
it?
about
It
that.
did. No,
Mine only started growing like when I turned 30.
he
Like
started when he was like 16, 17. And
Yikes.
he would shave it, but it was very difficult. And they didn't have like a lot of tools back then. It's not like Instagram was going to be like, hey, you want this cool razor to shave your back hair, you beast? But anyway, so I used to narrate for him, and I narrated in between his eyebrows. And then one day I remember he came into my room. He just must have been feeling especially vain because he comes in my room and he's like, I've got a zit. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do about it. And he's like, can you cover it up for me? And I was like, honey, my face is like, I wear sunscreen and you're a little ruddy. Like our complexion is not the same, it's not going to work. And he's like, no, just do it. I'm going to see this girl and I just got to cover up the zit.
Aw.
Yeah. So I cover it up and I do my best and I blend it out. I do my thing. And, it looks terrible. Like it looks like a gigantic white blotch in the middle of his face. It's bad. And
Yeah.
he's like, how's it look? And I'm like, fine, I guess. I've blended it as much as I can blend. What do you want from me? And he's like, it looks good. And I was like, on your way, buddy. He went out like that. And I'm sure this poor girl was looking at him like, you think... That's a good question, actually. Do you think, as a woman, if you saw a man go to such lengths to impress you or cover up a zit, would you be impressed or would you be horrified for him?
Ooh. I want to be nice and be
Sure.
like, that's sweet. But to be honest, vanity in men, like, okay, here's why I'm glad I'm not a man, because this seems really hard to balance. If you don't have any vanity at all, you're probably gonna like not take note of some things that you probably should and should probably work on.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can't let like if you date girls, like you can't let the girl know that you are vain at all. Like she better not catch you looking in the mirror a bunch. You can't groom in front of her, not until you've been together for a while.
Sure.
Because you have to, it has to, like, same with us at the beginning, it has to look effortless.
Effortless? I mean,
to be
girl, I don't know about you, but I woke up like this.
Honestly, I should have put more effort in. I'm going to hate the way I
No.
look.
You both look
We
great.
woke up
You
like
both.
this.
Me
We're
too.
amazing.
I put on
You
my,
know,
I put
you
on
can compete with
mascara.
Whitney, but you know.
I love it.
You
No, but
can-
the vanity and like grooming and stuff like that, that's obvious in a man on a first date would be,
That'd be rough to get around, right?
granted, if like everything else went super well,
Sure.
obviously you'd look past that.
Maybe.
little?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to
But it would taint it for sure.
I dated a man that I found out that he used to mascara in his beard. And we dated a while. And I was like,
Hold on.
oh,
How long is a while before you notice?
before I noticed? Oh, no. He started doing it while we were dating. So it was very instant. I knew immediately.
suddenly
that
he had a very
like
dark
he shows up
beard?
to our date
Oh,
and I was like,
no.
oh, honey.
Oh no, that's
I mean,
so
did you
awful.
Grecian formula that? What's going on? So I didn't like,
That's
you know,
awful.
like I was like, okay, how do I broach this subject? Because we got to do something about this. This is like, what did you do? You know? And so he finally asked if I noticed, and I was like, you think? But, you know, I was sweet about it, as sweet as I could be. I was like, I don't know that it's really hitting the mark. I got to be honest.
No.
Is that not like a reasonable way
Well,
to
wait,
say
wait, wait,
that?
wait,
I
wait.
don't know if it's
I have a
really accomplishing
question.
what you want it to accomplish, which is to look younger, right? The idea
you-
is to look good and look younger, and it's not doing those two things, then
So
you
he-
didn't accomplish.
Use mascara.
He had he said it was specifically for beards, but it looked like a little mascara thing, and I promise you, like the texture and
Was
everything was
mascara.
mascara.
Did it
It was
run?
mascara. No, it was like when it got on there, it was like
was
it would
on there.
stay like mascara. Yeah.
Wow. So then would he have to take like the same, like would he have to have the same debate with himself? Like, what is this going to look like when I wake up? Like, that's
I
crazy.
have no idea.
That's
because,
crazy.
You know, and it's interesting to me because it makes me wonder because then as women, you know, we wear makeup, you put on mascara to come here for, you
Yeah.
know, whatever reasons
now
that we
lipstick.
have is the vanity. It shows on us very obviously,
Right.
but it's also kind of an expectation of us. So it's not as visible. It's not as upfront, I guess,
Yeah.
you know, as say if a man wore makeup, because that's essentially what he was doing.
Quick question on that.
I know
right?
it's not fair.
Quick question on that, right?
Whatever,
Like,
he was a bitch.
and I may have to cut
Yeah,
this
fuck
part
it.
out, but was he fair skinned or did he have more melanin? Like, is it
Oh
like
no, he was more, you know, he was a white guy.
he was like, oh my god, then that's even more of a drastic.
The black beard.
Like, how do you like? For example, my
Interesting.
It
my
wasn't
my
black, it was
beard blending
brown.
into
It's
my
brown.
tan skin would blend better than if I was like
100%.
pink. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, he wasn't.
Did he not have a very good jawline?
Huh? No, actually,
So why didn't he just shave it?
I'm not really, you know, the mind of a man. I tried to help him as much as I could. What did you just bite
I
that?
spit on myself.
Oh.
You know me. You guys just met me. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I like saying
Famous.
you know me to people I don't know very well.
Do you know what my favorite thing to say is?
What?
You don't know me like you should. You do not even know me.
That is so scary.
That is your favorite
That's
thing to
crazy.
say.
It is, because, you know, to be honest, though, it's so illuminating, I think, and so accurate in basically every case.
Really?
You genuinely don't know me as well as you think you should.
That's
Really?
true. That's true. Because one of our second favorite lines is, "I will burn this bitch to the
I
ground."
will burn this bitch to the ground because you don't know me as well as you. No,
I love
not
it.
you specifically.
No,
Not
I
in this
know.
moment.
I-
Not in this moment. We're cool. No.
That's good. We'll see by then.
Just-
I
I might burn this bitch to the
That's
ground,
so
but I might do it for fun sometimes too. Like it's not always
Yeah.
because I'm upset. Sometimes, you know.
Mhm.
You just burn the bitch to the ground for something to do.
What do you think?
Sure.
What do you both think? And that's a question for both of you. That you know, and this will be a good barometer, right? Like overall, young men, older men. I imagine you might have dated somewhere in between, young and old. What do you think is one thing that more men should understand about dating women in 2022? Besides, don't be a sad boy, obviously.
Don't be a sad boy. I don't know. I think that women in 2022 expect way more from men than they used to, and I would say that that has escalated exponentially just in the last probably 4 or 5 years. It's changed a lot. Women expect a lot from men. So, and when I say expect a lot, I think that women expect men to be a more well-rounded person. You know what I mean? Those things that were expectations to not do before is more of a why aren't you? Sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that you commented on that, but there's like you didn't place like value on that. Like you're not like, oh, that's like a good or bad thing.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, because I don't.
Because not all of them are necessarily.
Yeah,
beneficial to me, and if that's how I count a good thing, then they're not. As it pertains to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how we all see the lens, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what leads well into what I would say, which is like, well, first of all, I haven't dated in a while.
Since Asheville.
Well,
do you get a far off look in your eyes?
Asheville. Yeah, I've been with my boyfriend. Like we started dating at the beginning of the pandemic too, right when I moved here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But
enjoy dating? Do you enjoy dating when you are?
I don't. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I always had like, I'm kind of a. I'm not like someone who. I'm a relationship kind of person.
Sure.
I never did like the casual sex thing.
Sure. So you like your boyfriend now?
A lot.
What do you
He's my
think,
favorite
though?
so far.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, that's good for
Hey,
him. Right?
Hopefully,
I love him very much.
absolutely. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So what do you think, though, that
Yeah.
to Arturo's
Back to the question.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is like I feel like, my generation, Gen Z. I was almost a millennial. Sure wish I was.
Right on the cusp.
Yeah, man. Oh well, you can't change it. You are what you are.
That's true.
You could become an old soul and just start listening to records or just things that only millennials do. Do we know what Walkmans are? So you can get one of those.
I could start using that one emoji you guys will use.
What's that one?
The crying, laughing one.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though. It's sweet.
Oh, now
It's kitsch.
I use the pouring.
I like that one.
I use the
I've
pouring
tried.
one, too.
I'm
And
integrating
actually
them.
now more often than not. Yeah.
But I use both because I'm communicating with both. I'm of two worlds, right? So I put I first push the crying emoji and then the following one. That way they know that.
Well, if you say if you do
Very
both,
funny.
it's like it's sort of like you're not claiming any territory. You're
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm open to anything.
I'm an ally to both sides.
Right.
It's interesting though, because I would say that there's probably a lot of millennials that ride that line between we work in a lot of professional industries where we
Right.
have to work with people who are older than us, and we do crying emoji,
I like that
laughing
emoji.
crying emoji.
I like it.
We
It's
100%
fun.
do, and then we've got I would never send that to my son. I'd be horrified.
Well,
So
so that's some. Did you say your son?
my son, yeah,
You have a son?
he's 17.
Oh my God, I want to talk about that. Hold on. I have two things I have to address before we get too
Let's
ahead of
hear it.
ourselves.
Let's do it.
Sorry, these things are more important than your son.
I've said it to him often.
I'm joking.
No,
I don't know him yet. I don't know how important he
I
is.
would have to
He'll
send him
appreciate
this clip. Yeah, hopefully he's watching right now.
Hopefully he's watching. He better,
Prove
because I told him
yourself.
to like and subscribe, and I told him if he didn't, I'd cut off his allowance. So
Wow.
Right?
Tough mama. Well, what I like about millennials is I think they are a lot more sincere and they're a lot less afraid to say what I'm saying they, but it's you guys.
Yeah.
You are much less afraid to actually say what you think. And unafraid of expressing a genuine feeling about something. Like, not everything to Gen Z has to be ironic or a joke, to the point where I think we often don't know. I exclude myself from this a little bit, but we often don't know what is sincere and what isn't. And it's why everyone in Gen Z is so neurotic. But anyway, to answer your question, I kind of, my generation, Gen Z, is having the least sex and is dating the least of any generation ever. And I kind of think, like, I don't know what advice to give them. It feels like almost as a species we're like,
Well, what do you value?
killing ourselves
what do
off.
you value as? Did you say
In
we're
dating?
killing ourselves off?
Maybe.
That's interesting. Can
Maybe a
expand
little.
on that.
Who knows? Whew.
Do you think that that's because, you know, we can't come to a compromise where we get along anymore because we're not dating and we're not having sex as, you know, the Gen Z or whatever? Is it because they don't value those same human connections, or what do you think that is?
Well, another thing I like to keep in mind with Gen Z is like, so I'm a 97 baby, so I'm the cutoff. And so the oldest of us are 25. So when people talk about Gen Z, it's like, okay, you're talking about very young people. So
Sure.
obviously we have the qualities young people have. So a lot of that criticism can feel like,
Sure.
hey, like, maybe give it a second.
Yeah. absolutely.
Well, would
that's
you
fair.
say that it's because Gen Z, Gen Z, a lot of time the arguments that are being made are about their impact on society or the zeitgeist around it, and the fact that at least in America we have elections every 4 years, that Gen Z has really only been able to participate in maybe one or two of elections, tops maybe none, depending on how young they are, right? So they feel like they don't have a voice in the world, that they're being fed by the devices anyways, or the perspective of the world that they live in, you know?
Interesting. Well, yeah. So the first election I ever voted in, I was 18, was the Trump's first.
Wow. And you
the one-
voted. And it was important to you, huh?
Yeah, I did not vote for Trump.
You wanted to make America great again,
I
but
did
you
not.
know,
I appreciate that.
I
You
did
know,
not-
we'll put it on the
I
bottom.
did not. I was like a
we'll
screaming.
be like
staunchly
Lea,
against.
Trump supporter underneath,
No.
QAnon question mark.
I was like a big Bernie girl at 18. I was like, I'm going to film school and I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. But
You were doing something. It's great.
well, you know, teen stuff. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so that was like a lot
I
of
was
our-
also 18 and be like, I would have voted for Bernie Sanders.
You were way ahead of the curve, my goodness.
Bernie Sanders has been around
He did it
forever.
on the second time.
Bernie
He did it on
Sanders
the
wasn't even
second time,
alive
too.
yet.
He was like, I'm going to vote for.
Well, I was
Donate
Bernie
to
until I
the
found out
campaign.
Andrew Yang, and then I was like, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
The first time that I voted, I was so excited because I was going to turn 18. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, I can buy cigarettes and I can vote.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So I went and I bought my cigarettes, and then I went to go vote. And as it turned out, I was not eligible to vote in that area.
Oh my, you forgot to
All of
register?
the- yeah, no. It was just that the place that I was in, I was reading the local paper and keeping myself very apprised of the issues so that I could vote very intelligently. I was very proud of myself. And then as it turned out, I lived in a different county. So
Oh no. Wait,
whatever.
I want to hold this. Can I pee?
Of course.
Yeah, of course,
I'm
absolutely.
so
we
sorry.
can pause. No, we
allowed.
can.
Why isn't Gen Z having sex? And why aren't they dating? And why aren't they working?
Why are
and
they
aren't
not
they
thinking that people
driving?
are
Why aren't they
insincere?
driving?
What do they think that people are insincere? All these things.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm obviously the authority on Gen Z.
100%.
No. Well, I kind of think, like, I have like this half and half thing, and I also like, never know if I think what I think, but I'm pretty sure I do.
It's very influential.
That's the thing is, so first of all, we all grew up with the internet. I mean, and you guys did in a sense too.
We saw the birth of the internet.
That's
Oh,
right. Yeah, that's
Napster.
You know, like,
I mean,
weird.
We were jerking off on the internet before there was video. You know,
Wow.
back in the internet.
Images made out of pixel.
You know how we were strong? There was a website called Hot or Not, where people would just fucking pictures would go up, and guess what? Everybody just can log in an account and just like swipe left or right. It's not even for dating. It's either are you hot or are you not? You know, and that shit is visible.
Video game. It's like the best because there's
You just
no,
vote on
no
people.
repercussions.
Did you put yourselves on there?
Oh no.
Oh, did you have
Never?
to? Oh no. I think
wouldn't
I
do
think
it?
everybody. No, everybody had to be on it. I
was
think.
so like, huh?
I think you had to have an account.
Yeah, maybe I put somebody else's picture up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Smart.
I definitely didn't do it because I was
Survival of the fittest, right there.
I wasn't willing when I was younger, which is so silly because I was awesome. You know what I mean? So, but I also think I'm awesome now. But you know,
are.
you should think that you're awesome. Everybody should think that they're awesome. You are all awesome. Your
Some
own
people
way.
are.
Mr. Rogers.
I like that. I like that you're like that. I do not think everyone is awesome. I think some of you really blow. You do, and you need to fix it.
Especially if you're in Asheville. You know.
Do you feel like
They're fine.
everybody has the capacity?
Just stay there.
Does everybody have the capacity for awesome?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
All right.
Of course
Some
not.
people are just worm babies, huh?
Listen, everybody has the right to
Better themselves?
sure, but most. But the thing is like,
redemption.
to be honest, like many won't.
That's very
and
true.
and actually, I think I hold this belief a lot because Gen Z grew up with, okay, our parents, most of us, our parents were young in the 90s, and and then we were young, or born a little bit after. I mean, I was 3 when 9/11 happened. 4, just turned. Yeah, I was 4, and or was I? Yeah. I was.
Do you remember 9/11?
I have like snapshots. I remember we had just moved into our house and we were sitting.
She remembers
on
the
the floor.
plants, you know, just not the.
Yeah.
Soviet.
Yeah, no,
She's Soviet.
yeah. No, I remember hearing about it months before. My parents in a hush whispering about it, saying this is how we're gonna start the 20-year plan. It'll lead to this one election.
God
Yeah.
bless America.
Anyway,
Yeah.
right.
That's a joke in there. You guys remember about 4/11? Oh, you guys know it as 9/11, actually.
That's silly.
Is it too soon?
Oh my goodness. But so we grew up in this like era. I think about this a lot. The Bush era was I don't know if people. I mean, I don't know when I say people because I talk to people of a lot of different ages, but I don't know. I'd love your input on this. I really would. I feel like I talk way too much. I'm sorry.
No, but what about the Bush era?
So when I was younger, I feel like the Bush era was very there was sort of a
How would you describe it? Was it a
hegemonous thought, it was, our country was very right leaning and was like, people don't talk about gay people the same way they did when I was little at all.
Sure.
I mean, my parents were always like the liberals in our like uptight kind of community.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being embarrassed about that, like
Sure.
very deeply. So I feel like a lot of Gen Z kids maybe are still reacting to that a little bit. And you see this a lot in Gen Z spaces where Gen Z dominates, like Twitter, where it's a lot of like still fighting this conservative hegemony that I don't necessarily think that's still the case.
Sure.
In some ways, it very much is, because there definitely is pushback to a lot of like this thought that's like seriously
It's just
damaging.
a rejection of that entirely, huh? Do you feel like it's an over
In some ways,
correction,
Well-
it's like the baby with the bathwater, right?
I don't know if it's that simple. I think
Sure, yeah.
I think there are some issues that still need to be addressed, but I think a lot of the time we're fighting about the wrong stuff and we're getting nowhere. I don't know if anybody really knows what to do about anything, and we're in like and I think this is a very Gen Z thought of mine, that like I kind of think everything is very bleak and we're headed towards like pretty dark things.
Yeah.
And it kind of, all of it just feels very pointless. And that's really my main point is Gen
Whoa.
Z is so nihilistic. I don't think they see a point to dating. I don't think they see a point to fucking. I think they're too scared to fuck. And I think they're too scared to do much of anything. And we don't care about our jobs. The economy sucks for us. There's not really much hope. When we were younger, the people a little bit older than us had just graduated college, and it was the 2008 recession. So it was bleak for them too. It's bleak for us. We just went through the pandemic. Like, it's kind of like there's a strong sense of nihilism amongst everyone. And on top of that, like, I just think it makes people
I
not want to
feel like-
fucking date.
I feel like we just need to start like a little like a pal system where a millennial hangs out with a Gen Z person and gives them a hug. Cause holy shit, are you having a time?
I'm doing fine.
It's not so bad. But genuinely, actually, I wish that somebody had told me when I was 25.
Yeah.
Actually, that your 30s are the best years of your life. Like, honestly, like your 30s, by the time you're 30, so much of that stuff that you find so concerning and wobbly, and you're not quite.
But isn't that
secure in your
what people were
career.
telling you when you were that age, and did you listen to that?
No, that's why I literally said I wish somebody had
You wish
told me,
someone had
because
told you.
nobody told me. And do you know why I know that nobody told me? Because I was horrified. I was terrified the entire time. I was like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. No, it's not going to be
It
like
gets
this
better.
forever.
Right.
It gets better. Your 30s are the best years of your life because so many things just genuinely start to...
I don't particularly think their 30s are going to be that great for Gen Z.
Maybe not. But I don't know. My mom said that my whole life too. That her 30s were her
30s
best
are your
time.
best years.
Although
I
now
promise
she's
you.
Yeah.
in her 60s and she's like, this is the best time of my life.
Well, and that is the thing, a life well lived, right? Your life should get better at every interval. Your life should become more
Yeah.
awesome,
hopefully.
right? Mine is.
Well,
also.
I think,
I don't know.
and when what
Might
I've
as
seen,
well,
right,
too.
right, like at least, and tell me how as a Gen Z what you think of that perspective, right? But I see like a repeating patterns, right? And I keep seeing that the crux of it that Gen Z has lived in the internet. We saw the birth of the internet, right? So we had private lives, and to some degree, we were able to allow if we thought about or had the foresight, what was allowed on the internet, right?
Right.
Gen Z didn't have that, and of course, they had parents that were bumbling around with new technology. They're like, "Oh, I don't even know the repercussions of what this," because when they had dial-up, it's just pictures, right? And what then the introduction of the iPhone 2007 then became, right? I think that couple, like all of a sudden, access to information. I think Gen Z has an inability to distinguish, from my perspective, what I see. It could be something else. That you can be the most important person in your life without being selfish, in a way, and because selfishness has negative social capital from a cloud perspective, in a world where your digital image is who you are and dictates your future more than your physical local actions, then all of a sudden, then if you're even to where you were mentioning the guy that you like, of self-soothing, right? It's because he puts his mask on first and then something, right? He's not going to lay himself on the ground for you because he's the most important person in his life, just like you may need to be yours. Now, it doesn't mean that there are not people that are very important in your life. And if you're a mother, maybe there's a person that becomes more important than you, right? Or a father, right? Or something like that. But until that point, you probably should be the most important part. And I think because of this image, people are able to get the ego boost from, oh, I can be the most important person in my life by portraying an image that I actually I'm actually laying down my heart for everybody else, because it's the image, not the reality, right? Like I can cast stones, and if I spin the right image, or I can propagate and be charming enough
It's true.
to paint the right image, then I'm never beyond reproach, right? I can always, like, we can go talk Will Smith or whatever. If somebody goes away for a while, comes back in, all is forgotten almost, right? Unless somebody else with a bigger image is trying to, bring him down. That's why, for example, nobody, even on the right, messes with Trump, because he dominates the image. All of a sudden, somebody goes in against the image, they lose their career because his image is stronger, so he can just, basically tank them. And my question with the Gen Z is like, and I hope this happens in your 30s, is that it almost seems that because of the internet, Gen Z is working with an idealized image of what the world should be like, and
That's true.
they have not had enough experiences in the real world like we have in the reality to realize what the reality. So all of a sudden, the image is portrayed, is propagated by all these technological devices that are driven by companies that require consumption. So they're gonna drive for engagement and consumption, and all of a sudden, and if you never got to find out who you are outside of the inputs, then you are almost like doomed to be like a byproduct of them. And then all of a sudden it's like, here, let me direct that engagement somewhere. And I think it's, we've done, and they become these hierarchies, right? Like when I was younger, gay rights were not a thing, gay marriage equality under the law was the goal, right?
Yeah.
But this is the issue with organizations as well, right? The organization that creates itself to make gay marriage equal under the law. Once that is accomplished, what happens to that organization? What happens to the fundraising money? What happens to all the jobs that happen? Right? You need a new fight, right? And I mean, obviously, this is whole like a jumble of things, but I really hope that. I think that's one thing that millennials we had. Like, instead of a Gen Zer told me that when they would grow up, they were very inculcated and instilled with the fact that, oh, what are others' perceptions of what you're doing? Whereas millennials, we were like, okay, well, you don't want to. If 1,000 people jump off a bridge, are you gonna jump off a bridge as well? So it's still an individuality that is almost necessary for you to be the most important person in your life, so that you're actually less prone to being manipulated. And if you never had that, how do you know who you are? And if you don't know who you are, how can you have any meaning to your life? How can you dream of tomorrow if,
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I just said a lot, but
I mean, that's an interesting question, though. I mean, in there, I think, do you think that Gen Z has a very strong sense of self? Like, do you think that they know who they are and what they stand for, and like you
outside of
say
their
they're very
labels.
nihilistic, and that's sad to hear. It's like, but there are so many causes that are so worthwhile. You know what I mean? That require a lot of sense of self.
Oh, Gen Z is on some causes for sure.
For sure.
I will say that.
Yeah.
No, I think kind of like I said before. I mean, I'm 25 and I'm the oldest of Gen Z, so it's still very young.
Sure.
Very
young.
So does anybody like really know who they are yet at these ages? Not
I
really.
still don't know who I am.
Yeah, I mean,
Still figuring it
so,
out. Keep going.
I do think
It's an evolving beast.
yes, and obviously, I mean, we all are doing this because otherwise this conversation would take like a million years. But we're all like, you have to paint with a broad brush a little bit. But I do obviously feel like I have to say a little like, I mean, like, I'm generalizing. We're all generalizing.
Sure.
I think,
You are the ambassador for Gen Z.
Yeah.
oh no, I don't think they would want me as the
We're gonna
ambassador
get you
at
a
all.
hat. You love hats. We'll get you a hat.
I do like them. I never seem to wear them though.
I
But
have a lot of hats too. It's okay. I've got a whole.
yeah, you get an idea in your head. You're like, oh, wouldn't that look nice? Never does. Not when you have my ears. But anyway, I think okay, to your point about branding and all of that. Yeah, I think Gen Z has not only been witness to, but part of a lot of really like positive social movements.
Sure.
But I also think like I don't know if it's being younger. I don't know if it's the way we grew up. Probably a lot of things that I'm not qualified on or qualified to speak on. But something I bring up a lot is like, to me, it's not a positive thing to see Wells Fargo showing a gay pride thing. It's like these people are selling you something.
100%.
Yes.
It's Wells Fargo.
Exactly.
One of
Exactly.
the
It's disgusting.
grossest-
Is what it is. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Kylie Jenner with a Pepsi heel in the world.
right.
It's almost like war profiteering, like adjacent. It's almost
100%.
feels like that,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like
Well, it's like, and that's the thing is like, what I do sometimes criticize like Gen Z for is it's, well, I'd criticize any generation for this like commentary on capitalism, where like, oh, capitalism is like racist, it's sexist, it's this. It's like, no, capitalism is grosser than that. It's like, or maybe I won't put any value on it. I don't know. Capitalism is this like thing, almost like a demon that can morph into whatever it needs to be, to whatever the thought is, so
Yeah.
it can sell you that. Like it's
Okay.
gonna hear what the people are saying, so it can be that. And that's why you see like every company like trying to sell people Juneteenth shit, trying to sell people like gay pride shit, cheap shit that's like using probably child labor to make, to be like,
Target.
Definitely
let's-
not American jobs, right?
No.
Definitely not American
well, it's like
jobs.
let's celebrate you, and it's like you would be producing anything based on what anyone says ever.
They're-
They just see a hole where they can sell you something, and they do
Absolutely.
it, and they don't care about you. They don't care about anybody. They don't give a fuck about Juneteenth.
No.
They don't give a shit.
Target doesn't care about gay pride. I
Nope.
don't care how much you like Target. I
They
love
don't.
Target.
We all love Target.
We all love Target, but
Yeah.
you know what? They don't care about gay pride.
And guess what?
They
I don't
care
need them
about
to. We were
dollars.
talking about this the other day. I don't need them to. Like, I just need them to be Target. I don't need to
Well,
know what they're about.
that's interesting too, though, because I mean, Gen Z overall would care necessarily. I mean, would you pick a store? Would you say, "Hey, I'm not gonna go to that store"?
Like a Chick-fil-A or a Hobby Lobby that they're so like they turn off a lot of like, you know,
Yeah.
especially more
is that super important?
left-leaning Gen Z, you'd argue.
Yeah.
Huh.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever actively not done something because you're like, oh, I'm not going to use that product, or I'm not going to go
Or
to that
Elon
store,
Musk.
I'm
People
not
are
gonna
saying,
eat
"Oh,
that
I don't like
food."
Elon Musk, what he's doing, so I would never buy a Tesla because of how
Exactly.
he's."
Yeah. Do something on a moral standpoint.
Well, I mean, I kind of shop anywhere. To be honest, I wasn't able to shop until very recently,
You're like, so
and I'm not gonna
do
stop
it.
now.
Girls are gonna go
That's how I put it.
shopping. I hear you.
Well, I obviously like growing up, I was comfortable, I was fine, but like
Yeah.
as an adult, I
Having your own money means
Yeah,
something
it's cool.
different. It does.
but so no, because I don't find any measures. I don't know what the solution to anything is. And my biggest thing is like I can like criticize whatever whenever. But I kind of am really honestly a person who's just sort of surrenders to whatever circumstances. I don't know if that's a relic of
That's
my
very Gen Z.
Soviet.
You're like, there's nothing I can do about
No, I don't
the
know if
future."
that's like a Soviet thing, like a relic of that. Like I just kind of am like,
Well, they're not surrendering right now, I'll tell you that.
oh well, yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. But I just kind of surrender to whatever circumstances are there, in a sense. But because, to be honest, like I do feel like I don't always know what is effective.
Well, I have a question
And at
for
the
you.
same time, like, you know, companies and stuff, it's just so fucking like meaningless. Oh, you can keep my burp in.
We added
That's
that
for
word
you
with
guys,
voice talk.
uh-huh.
We're gonna put it on one of those pads, and we're gonna
Rah,
play it
rah,
on
rah,
other
rah,
on other
That's our
ones.
new
Yeah.
intro.
Oh, that's good.
Absolutely.
Make it into a little beat.
Absolutely.
But to that point, right? Like where you were saying, and crap, I just lost it. Oh, with the stuff and whether it matters, right? Whether it matters that a particular company is doing something. Oh yeah. So my concern with Gen Z, and not even Gen Z, but it's really morphed to anybody that's plugged into devices as and not living life outside in their local community with real people, right? That the concept of solutions, right? Like you mentioned, you don't know what the solution is. I think there are a lot of people that think there are solutions to things, and I mentioned this like as a thing that I'm taking on. It's there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs in life, right? Like you turn a lever, another one is gonna turn.
I do agree with that.
And I think there's some and the disconnect, the
Balance,
miscommunication. It happens that there's so many people that think there are solutions, and they're pulling out different levers, and they're coming into conflict, right? And it's because people think there's a solution. It almost becomes like a faith. Oh, I have the right thing. I am right. And this is my solution. And if I apply this, it'll fix this thing. It's like, well, but you're not seeing where the lever is being turned somewhere else. And I'm looking at that thing, and I don't like how that's affecting, right? But my solution will push this. Oh, but then the seesaw goes up on the other side, and they're talking through each other without realizing. And this is the challenge, right? And we talk about this all the time, that people are treating symptoms and this not root causes. Where you mentioned earlier that people are fighting against this dad figure of like boomer millennials in the 90s, right? That there are causes for that led to redlining, and why there are ghettos, and why minorities are around areas where there are gated communities, right? But some of them may be in play today, but most of them, like the big ones, are not. Like, for example, we don't have slavery anymore, right? At least in the U.S., right? But we're still comfortable getting probably slaves to build our stuff somewhere else in another country, right? But right now, you can, if you are gay, get married, right? Whereas 20 years ago, maybe you couldn't say you couldn't. So if you're fighting against the person that told you couldn't get married 20 years ago, that is no longer, you're no longer facing reality. And yeah, so it's almost like
peaceful sleep and haven't
the
thought about
trade-offs,
you
and
since.
yeah, and the lack of context. And
You know
it
what
seems,
occurred to me?
and I could see if, for example, the life
You're
is
just
lived
a
on the
kid.
internet, and there's a little bit of
You don't have the
there's a
faintest
scene,
idea
for
what you're
example, in
talking about. Why, thank you.
we have a bunch of
So
Goodwill
what?
Huntings in our fucking hands, a bunch
I
of
look
little
at you,
geniuses. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I don't see an intelligent,
Yeah,
confident
but
man.
he talks. He's like he goes off on Robin Williams, and he's
I
like,
see a cocky, scared,
he's like,
shitless kid.
I thought about it all night, and then had a thought,
Personally,
and then I went to bed. You know what I thought?
I don't
It's
give a
like,
shit
that
about
you're a
all
kid.
that because
You don't know what the
what?
hell you're
I
talking
can't
about. He's
learn
like,
anything from
asking
you.
about
I
war,
can't
and you
read in
probably,
some
say,
fucking book.
once more into the breach, dear friends. I talk to you
Unless
about
you wanna
art.
talk
You
about
gotta tell me
you.
about Picasso,
Who you
Michelangelo,
are.
right? But you've never been in the Sistine Chapel. You don't know
Then
what
I'm
it smells like in
fascinated.
there. You're having almost a fictionalized version of what it is, and then making decisions about the world based on what that it is, and that's not the reality. And I think you see a lot of pushback because the other people on the other side are also just looking at their solution. There's the boogeyman, the other, the antagonist to me, and it's like by being pushed because this person's pushing against something that no longer exists, they're pushing back, almost embodying the person that the other person was pushing against because that's what that person would react like.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You just live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
that's true. Well, I actually, I really agree. Like, I think, and I actually would say this plays into the dating discourse too,
Sure.
is there's not a lot of, you're probably going to opt out of dating if you do have early exposure to media at all. So, and at the amount that people do. And this, like, in Gen Z and maybe a little older, a little younger too.
Definitely if you watch She-Hulk. I'll tell you in a minute.
God, we can get onto that later. Oh my goodness. That
But go on, yeah. I mean, that's a
Let's
perfect
do it.
example.
God,
of it.
yeah,
Love to.
especially like all our media is terrible now and
Yeah.
bad.
It's
But
not great.
I do think like yeah, you can have a tendency to so much online is tailored, personalized, but also meant to enrage you. So like there's this weird dissonance there. And but if you interact with people and with the world and with news and with sex and with any of that online before you experience it in real life, you are going to have an idea about it rather than an experience with it.
Wow.
And
I
so
love that.
then you are sort of set up for failure and to be nihilistic and to be terminally disappointed.
Do you have a specific instance in your own life that you can not specific like, details or anything
Should I get
like
deep
that,
here?
but
Jesus
no,
Christ.
I mean, do you have something that you experienced where you were like, "Oh my gosh, the reality is not like what I thought it was going to be." Maybe it was
Rihanna, you trying to get a Me Too moment out of her? You know, like, Jesus
No, I'm just trying to find out. Did you think the Doritos Locos Taco was as good as it was going to be? Like, we can keep it light.
I will talk about Asheville, goddammit.
Oh my goodness. If only Asheville was virtual. Those are definitely real life experiences. Those are definitely real things I was saying to
There's some things
actual
that
people.
Well,
Sorry, everyone in
you know
Asheville, North
what?
Carolina.
sorry, not sorry.
I am.
We're all growing up.
I'm very sorry to one person.
So she can't even
I
go
didn't
back to
burn the
look if she
bridge.
wanted.
No. The bridges are still there. They're not walking across them. I'm fine.
Yeah, you got an untouched bridge. Yeah, you're like nobody
Hanging
wants
on
to.
the bridge. You can't
nobody-
I'm spitting off the bridge.
Good. Well, I don't even know what. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't get that metaphor at all.
Do you not?
Spitting off the bridge.
Well, isn't it
Neither
fun
do
to
I.
spit off of a bridge? You just go up to a bridge.
We
you
are
spit off
from
the side,
different
it's fun.
generations.
And you
We
drop
spit off a
stuff.
bridge virtually. We had this.
Go outside, for God's
we had this
sake. Are you
rock
kidding
skipping
me?
game
Okay.
online. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
No.
Actually,
That's so terrible.
I'm joking.
They have
I
a
feel
farm.
like
They
you
have a
couldn't
farm
do that.
simulator.
Like, yeah,
Well, my
yeah.
parents were pretty they limited my time on
Did
stuff,
they?
so
Yeah.
I think that was probably good for me.
Same.
Quite
Same.
Yeah, they were pretty like, and I was also just pretty like obedient
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
naturally, and I just kind of didn't really seek things out.
To get into mischief.
Yeah, I really am kind of.
You were content.
I just kind of do what I kind of listen to authority most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm not super
Well-
rebellious, to be honest. I'm really not. I kind of do what's you're
Whatever
supposed
Mother
to.
Russia requires, right?
I like to describe it like I like the things in my life that are automated and they make it easier for me to do the rest of the things in my life that are harder.
Like
Because
what?
if that stuff is already done
Yeah.
and I don't have to think about it, then I can do the things that I really like to do otherwise.
What do you like to be automated?
Automated anything that, honestly, anything mundane, like any type of housework, any type of getting ready in the morning. There's a reason that I do my makeup a specific way, and it's so that I can do it in the most minimalist way that I possibly can.
Well, that I think is
You
nice.
know?
You mean automated
Hair,
by by
everything.
yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, that's
automate your
really-
own life. You know what I mean?
I do agree with that. I try to think of the most efficient, simple way to do everything.
Sure.
Every action. Like when I seriously, if I'm going into like the kitchen and I know like, okay, I want to put this back in the kitchen and I want to put this up. This is like a weird example, but I'll try to think of the most efficient way I can do exactly that. No, I try to move through life like that. Like
So you're moving through life like parkour in a way.
Parkour.
Yeah, parkour.
no,
Or
like
the opposite of
like a
parkour.
dance.
Like a dance.
Like a choreo-
like a
water
ballet,
dance.
you know.
Absolutely.
Dance.
That's I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. I am often trying to expend. Actually, you know what? I think of it like I'm trying to save energy for the thing that I have to do that's even more difficult. You know what I mean?
That
So I
makes
need
sense.
to expend the least amount of energy, and I need to think of the best way to go through this so
Yeah.
that I can, if the hammer comes, then, I'm ready.
Fair
I've
enough.
got all my energy stored.
Fair
So.
enough. I think that's why
Yeah,
I
you
like
are.
to exercise. I like to be ready to like.
You like to exercise?
I love it.
Gross.
I love exercise. I love it. I feel
What's your
weird
favorite
if I
exercise?
don't.
Like what? Yeah.
You
what's
should
your
come.
favorite
She should come
exercise?
do yoga with Andie.
Yes, you should come to yoga with Andie.
I would love to.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
love
to.
yoga. I'll do yoga all day.
I like stretching.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I call it. It's
We
just-
should have
it's
bunny
just a good
yoga with
stretch.
Andie.
Bunny yoga. Have you met the bunnies?
I've not met the bunnies.
That's right.
You can meet him after
Are
this.
they?
You can meet the bunnies.
They're bunny. They're
Yeah.
real.
They're bunnies.
Yeah, they're real
Okay.
bunnies. We have 3 bunnies.
So we just keep
By
some,
next week, we'll have 5 bunnies.
some 40-year-old
yeah?
men dressed in rabbit costumes in our garage.
You never know. I
You
don't
never know.
You guys are a little.
He likes it. So.
We're gonna breed rabbits.
He likes
They like it.
So for Easter, we will probably have rabbits for sale
rabbits too.
and for gifts. You know.
Do you want a bunny?
I do
we'll,
not.
we'll trade
You
it.
don't want
You
a
know, we'll
bunny?
trade
I
it for
don't.
They're
labor.
so fluffy. They're little bunny butts.
I don't like their smell.
Yes.
I don't care for their smell.
Well, and here's the thing: is like
Yeah, that's why they're not in here.
I had bunnies before,
smart.
and I had boy bunnies, but I had them fixed.
Mhm.
The bunny smell is much diminished with fixed rabbits because
Oh.
we have a bunny now, and he's a buck, and
They call them bugs.
it's a buck and a doe.
That's so
Yeah.
mean. That almost feels mocking. That's rude.
You know, somebody else said that to me the
They
other
should call them
day.
something cuter than that.
Somebody else at work said that to me the other day.
I think it's because it's so aggressive and masculine. I think it is especially cute because they're so fluffy and adorable. It's
I just hate to think of a bunny being horny, and people like to remind you all the time.
well, but
Oh, we have video.
They
That sort of thing.
remind
It's-
us constantly.
I hate when animals are horny or have sex. It really
It's
very
actually.
often
Have you seen what
makes me
happens?
very uncomfortable.
Have you seen what happens to a bunny when he has sex? Because
Because
because it's the most adorable thing that you've ever seen.
I don't think it
because
is.
they fall off like they literally go beep 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 beep, and then they fall off like
They have like a little
almost
coma
like goats.
sleep. They go and they have like a little comatose little.
Yeah.
It's grosser than you think.
What? It's hilarious. It's more hilarious than
I
you think.
find that I just
You don't like it?
well,
They have adorable little bunny tails and their bunny butts.
I have a weird thing.
Do you
with-
eat meat?
I'm not like a huge.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge animal person to begin
Yeah.
with.
A child told me the other day that bunny butts made her uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, I can't talk about bunny butts. And I was like, what about puppy paws? And she was like, puppy paws are fine. Bunny butts are not okay. They made her
I
uncomfortable.
don't. What does this mean?
I don't know. They're just words strung together.
Cool question. Do you eat meat? Are you a meat eater?
I am. Yes.
Okay,
Very
cool.
much.
Question, and this is actually to both of you, to an earlier point. With so you know how as humans we forget stuff, right? Some
Not
peop-
me. I'm
not me?
different.
Yeah, steel trap.
I remember everything.
Well, some people forget, and they say that you know, I think the argument's been made, and fact check this is probably wrong, but that forgetting is an evolutionary adaptation to basically trauma. So you can forget and get better and not constantly be haunted by trauma.
Ooh,
And
I like where you're going.
kind of like you ever have like a pet or whatever. It's like they say a dog, right, that's been being like when they were young, never gonna be the same, never gonna be able to live to its full potential. So
Right.
with this dawn of the internet, and particularly it's the use of Gen Z, and especially now the whole world living in it, what do you think that's something that has allowed us to maybe get through maybe hard times? Because life is difficult, shit happens, right? Like it's people have tried to find meaning in what seems to be a meaningless universe, or at least in a different one, right? So what do you think could be the potential impact that the fact that the internet, social media now, whenever we make mistakes, we're no longer allowed to forget them?
Yeah. Man, isn't that the thing? Okay, that's since we're talking about it. Because of course I have to make every answer longer than it needs to be.
It's a
I'll just
podcast,
say-
so it's welcome.
I'll just say this first. Um, the so the internet like is a tool. It's a very new tool. So there are like obviously things that about it that make life a lot better. A lot of things that make life worse. I'm saying this to preface because I'm pretty like anti-technology in a lot of ways. I've found myself to be. So I just want to say, like, I acknowledge that. Like, I acknowledge there are obviously really great things that have come from the internet, and that's
Things that
good,
you probably
great.
use on a daily basis.
For sure. Things that I probably haven't even fully acknowledged. Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I completely I think about that a lot because not only are you often not allowed to forget mistakes that you maybe made when you were like really young or whatever, and people also are like, okay, not to like be too topical, but like, you know, I'm going on Twitter recently and people are talking about this Try Guys thing.
The Try Guys?
Oh yeah, the
People
husband thing, like
Yeah.
in a consensual, what seemed like a consensual
Right.
What
relationship.
happened? Tell me.
Okay. So
I
I don't
who
know.
the Try Guys are.
You do?
I've heard of them.
Th-
before.
remember
I mean, like, I
BuzzFeed?
don't watch them.
I
I never watched them, but I've heard it
Right.
before. I get what their concept is.
No, like, yeah, right. I didn't really know who they were, but that people are having. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. One of the Try Guys.
Which is like try men by now, you know, like
Right. They're like
try boomers
Try
almost. Yeah.
boomers.
Ugh.
They're old now.
I don't know. Did you see the episode where they tested their T levels? That was interesting.
No, I did not see
They're
that.
very low.
See, I didn't know about the Try Guys. I didn't know that they were no longer a BuzzFeed because last time I saw them was 10 years ago.
I didn't know that BuzzFeed is BuzzFeed still.
No, I don't
There's
think
no
it's a
kicking,
thing. Is it?
apparently. Yeah, no, I didn't know either. Okay,
Okay.
but apparently, like, and I think this took off because it was at a particular dead time on the internet, right? Like, there wasn't a lot to talk about. Everybody always needs to have, like, common discourse because we have no, like, real cultural thing anymore. So it's
Yeah.
kind of nice when everybody can have the same conversation.
To shit on you.
But then when we all have the same conversation, we realize how much we fucking hate each other. We're like, oh, we're all really different. We do not like each other. So basically, this one of the Try Guys, the blonde one, of course, blonde
the
men,
Nick
gross.
Carter of the Try Guys, one might call him. Do you know who Nick Carter is? Oh God.
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Maybe you just
no.
aged yourself.
Tips.
Who is that?
Justin Timberlake. You know who that is.
Those are two separate bands.
Okay.
Nick Carter is in 98
know, but
Was he
degrees.
in,
Nick
was he in
Carter-
NSYNC or something?
Nick Carter was in.
Oh, Backstreet Boys, right?
Back-
He
oh.
was the same time as NSYNC. What are
Fun.
you
I thought
talking
Nick.
about?
Oh, my bad. Well,
I'm not old.
You're
I
not
didn't even
old.
like the
You're not
Backstreet
old.
Boys. I didn't even like them.
You're not old. You're not old.
I'm a
You're
cis-het
not old. My parents are
male,
pretentious.
which used to be a straight
You're
guy.
not. It's fine.
Continue, the Try Guys, the
so
blonde
so
one.
Basically,
My
the-
joke is solid.
The blonde one that looks like,
Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys.
I don't know. Probably
Yes. Just
No,
go with
he's
it.
he's like a little twink blonde, and like he's like, you know.
So was Nick Carter. I hate you guys.
Okay, do you love Nick Carter? Like you
I
really
just
see,
want
you really
somebody
see
to
the
agree
picture.
with me right
I
now.
can't. I have no.
All right, continue.
You
So
will
the
burn this
twink.
podcast to the
I will
ground.
burn this podcast to the ground if nobody agrees with me. Continue, please.
So he cheated on his wife with.
Oh,
I guess
no.
the mistress in the affair also worked at BuzzFeed, but I'm not really sure. Like I don't know what
a
she
fucking
did.
loser. He
Right, but-
cheated on his wife
but-
with somebody he worked with.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
That's where it happens, though, usually, right?
yeah. I mean,
So,
my
yeah.
thing is like, okay, everybody's reacting.
Yeah, but it's fish in a barrel
Well,
at work.
what I'm
This
saying
just
is, like, who gives
I'm
a
already
fuck?
miserable at work. Of course, he's like,
What I want to know is why is this news? Who gives a fuck what this asshole does?
well,
Is
do
it
we
affecting
care?
my
Why
life?
do we care? Why do we care? Why does Gen Z care?
Well, that's my point.
Do you
I don't
care?
know.
Do you care?
No.
Oh, okay.
The thing is like, I swear to God, I can't.
Oh, you said it was a slow news day, right?
And it was a consensual relationship from what it seems like. They were cool cheating.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the
They were
thing.
cheating with each other, and he worked at BuzzFeed, and she worked at BuzzFeed, and they were both married or
what's going
something.
on.
Well, he was married, right?
Oh, okay.
But
So he was
she.
married, and it came out, but it
I
was
read she was
consensual.
engaged
Okay, so they were both cheating.
Either way,
against my will.
Yeah.
but
Because
now
I feel
it's
like
all.
I open up Twitter all the time. They're still talking about it.
Is
But
it
still,
because
it's
he's a
lube.
celebrity?
Well, now apparently. Oh, is that a celebrity? I don't know.
No,
Is
it's
that
because he. Guess what? Because you no longer are allowed to make mistakes. You're no longer allowed to.
Okay,
and
that's
and
what-
everybody's
that's what I'm
business.
getting to.
And everybody's business is your own. Like the fact is, like you were the marriage guy. So how fucking dare you cheat on your wife? You are what you are, and what we think what you are. You're no longer the individual because this is no longer the '90s.
What were you gonna say, Leia? Tell
Sorry,
us.
my boyfriend is asking if I'm alive.
Oh no, he's like you haven't.
Yeah, if you gotta
responded
go
in
soon, we
2
can wrap- we
No,
can-
hours.
I don't have to go. He just
Okay.
was worried I was dead.
Yeah,
sure.
But I'm not. I just let
He's
him know
like,
I'm
you
not.
haven't been on Twitter in 15 minutes. No.
He doesn't even have social media at all.
Good for him.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what she
that.
was, or
Yeah.
she
Same.
is actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have social media. I use
Your only social media is the
Manly
podcast.
Girly.
You know.
I love that.
social
yeah.
media. Yeah.
He has none at all.
Yeah.
Good for
It's
him.
great.
Well, I no longer have
he
any
older?
personal one.
He's my age.
He's your.
He
Yeah.
just doesn't.
Yeah. But I know, like my stuff
Have any.
online is just my comedic persona, and Manly Girly no longer anything personal, really.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Why?
um,
Like, what's the point? Yeah, I've got a family and friends, and if I want to talk to them, I'll talk to them.
Yeah, you
And
want to
I
have
do all the
Amazon
time.
sell to you better by knowing everything about you.
It's very true, and you know, we were talking about it to this point the other day. Is I call my family and friends more since I don't use social media, and what I'm doing is actively trying to call them. You know what I mean? Because who doesn't like to get a phone call that's not a spammer?
Gen
like
Z.
who gets?
yeah.
Would you guys be like? Are you horrified like
By what?
by phone calls?
No.
Okay.
I
I think like I
think-
talk to my son on the phone. He likes
I like talking on the phone.
It's,
I don't.
it's fun.
Texting is fine. I actually prefer. I like talking on the phone. It's easier and faster.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can convey emotion.
Yeah.
And really, like, honestly, communicate more
Yeah.
with saying less. You know what I mean?
But I think both have like their purpose. Like
Certainly, yeah.
texts are like for logistics. They're more practical.
Without social media, I have found communication more meaningful. I guess I may have more or less fewer interactions, but those interactions are more meaningful.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice.
I know I'm very
Grounded.
yeah,
I've-
absolutely.
Yeah, you seem grounded.
I have a question for both of you, and
Yeah.
especially with what you were touching on earlier in our message to men, right? And what we've talked about this before. Video games, both of you, perspectives about them. Do you like them? Do you not like them? And what do you think about? It could be men or women that maybe spend, let's say, a large portion of their free time outside of work or sleep involved in them, and not professionally, and not getting paid for it.
You go. Do you play video games?
I don't.
Does your boyfriend play video games?
Yes.
What
He
type of
does.
video games?
What kind of video games? Yeah.
So he plays them with like his friend, like he and his
Friends
friends who
online,
don't
yeah.
live. Well, they're not friends he met online. They're friends who don't live here.
It's
So
like
he's
talking on the
spending time
phone.
with his
They
friends,
literally,
yeah.
what they basically are doing is talking on the phone and playing Call of Duty in the
That's
background.
so sweet.
It is sweet.
It's
I
very
like it.
sweet.
Yeah, that's
I
what
like
they do. Video games.
But so no solo gaming.
He doesn't game by himself.
Yeah,
Without
some
his friends?
a little,
Okay.
yeah, but not like excessive.
But the majority of the time he's playing with somebody else.
So it's a
you know.
social thing for him.
yeah, it's like a scheduled.
Yeah.
I mean, he works a lot.
What if it wasn't social? What if he was just there, you know, like devoting the same amount of time, but just playing video games by himself? Is there a different value attributed to that?
I mean, it's not what I would personally do with my time, but as long as you can I guess like get all your, as long as it's not I think this is basically anything like drinking, I guess even drugs, anything, as long as it's not
Yeah, it's a
interfering
little
with.
A little lower, maybe.
Am I being super loud?
No. The mic has to be a little lower. That way the top is in front. Yeah, perfect.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
no.
I'm sorry.
No, sorry. You just want to turn the dial to the right on the arm.
To the
Is it-
which? Oh,
that one. Sorry about that. Perfect.
sorry. Is this
No,
better?
perfect.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you. So
No, you're fine.
as long as you can.
Yeah. As long as something isn't like keeping you from stuff you're supposed to do or want to do or social life, stuff like that, I think it's
Yeah.
probably fine.
Sure.
Okay.
Going outside.
And I think honestly, like, video games become a scapegoat for just
Yeah.
addictive behavior in general. And people
Oh,
are just
okay.
addictive by nature.
Okay. So that's better addiction than others. So,
I don't think it's necessarily better. I think the problem with any addiction is that it interferes your ability to be a productive like member of society, right?
okay.
Sure.
Like if you can smoke crack or shoot up and still go teach your class or do whatever effectively, I don't really see the
And not
I mean, I
sell
personally-
your school supplies for drug money.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I personally wouldn't do that, and I personally probably wouldn't date you, but
Sure. Well, I'm curious then.
Which
though.
addiction would you date? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
not
yeah.
crack, video games, fine.
Video games are fine.
Yeah.
Where's the line?
Where's the line between video games and crack? That's the name of the episode. Where's the line between video
Well,
games and crack?
Everything's on a gradient scale though, too, isn't it? You know what I mean? Some like for me personally, you know, crack's also not okay. But you know,
yeah.
I would personally be turned off if I met a man and I went out on a date with him and then I found out later on, even if he was managing his life, I don't think I'd be thrilled if he was spending all of his time playing video games. And I'm being honest, and I guess that to me that it's like, okay, well
You have a friend kind of that is a managed man, right? You have a friend that is kind of a managed man, right?
I do have a friend who's kind of like a kept man. Yeah.
And he doesn't like to be managed, even though he's kept, right?
I mean, I think that he, because of his situation, is more, I don't want to say he has to be a little bit quiet, but I guess when you're not paying the bills, you know what I mean?
How the tables have turned, man. Yeah,
But
like,
not even that, but he is of a quieter kind of spirit anyway, so he's much less likely to want to, you know, I guess he's not going to fight back as much.
yeah. Well, I can tell you the moment where everything was doomed, and and make sure you talk into the microphone because you
course,
can't hear
yeah.
you too well.
Sorry.
I think the moment everything was doomed, and really when we really went to war, is when men acquiesced to saying that feminism equals equality, right? Because the word for that is egalitarianism, right? And I think it's easy at the center where everything it makes, or at the poles, right? Where everything's black and white, and this goes into the point of everybody's looking to solution for their own pole, right? So we're polarized and tribalized. That, of course, like from one perspective, killing a child, if you consider it a child, it's atrocious. It's very black and white of you, you're considering a child, right? And to the other end, where it's like, I should be able to abort this fucking baby before it fucking comes out, right? Bullet to its head, put it in there, bang, So
I don't think anybody's saying
that also,
that.
but no, there are people saying I should be able to abort this the day before, because unfettered freedom. And you're right. If you live in a vacuum, right? We live in a society, so in a sense, we agree to certain things. And so, what was the example before I went into this crazy example of the extrapolation of
No, Taco Bell.
God damn it!
What was his example? What was the example you used?
About things being in the middle and I have a bad memory.
In the middle.
Yeah, and that at the poles things are easier. What were we
Yeah,
just
when
talking
things
about?
are black
Yeah,
and white.
When
Yeah.
things are black and white, it's simpler. I mean,
I made
know which
an
one.
example that seemed. Fuck! I lost it.
I thought
It was.
It was before that example. Whatever example I was saying before that. It's been a
I
long
don't
day.
know, baby.
Sorry.
you're talking about feminism,
Oh,
egalitarianism.
okay. Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
So,
A little better than abortion.
thank you. Thank you. Well, the thing is, like, I agree that in a society where men have been the beneficiary of whatever and been to a position of power, that there's I think any person can with power or group with power can abuse that power, and I think in an imbalance of power, yeah, feminism does mean equality up until there's an evenness, or up until you reach the equality point. If all of a sudden, like, your rights and the progress goes above that, then feminism is no longer an equality movement, because you're no longer using a more appropriate term, which is egalitarianism, because otherwise the opposite would be, right? Like, oh, and then let's say we live in a society where the inverse was things like men are like, oh yeah, whatever the male, word for feminism is, right? Oh, it means equality. Okay, it means equality, but then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're gonna do what we're gonna do. Does it still mean equality? And because everything is more image, right? I say there's the marketing and then the real product, and everybody lives on the marketing or the image right now. And I think that all of a sudden I have a joke about that in my set where it's like, like, you better say you're a feminist or you're not getting any fucking pussy tonight, but I think it changed the conversation all of a sudden. Like, oh, okay, there you have a lot of people also that maybe didn't feel so. I was raised by a single mother, right? I believe in strong women, right? Like, even some of the things that I may sound like, I think in the exchange of ideas, sometimes you can make the argument for a point that you may not be in agreement with, right? But if nobody else is making that point, we're all just willing to just write something off. Well, somebody has to make that point so we can consider what we not see, right? Like, and not that that's what I'm saying, but yeah, and all of a sudden now we're at war. Like, it's no longer like a lot of men that, especially that were not maybe not for. There's a lot of men that probably weren't for the cause. They're like, oh yeah, I'm a feminist, and name, right. And on my social media, I'm all like, oh yeah, everything, every signal, every peacock flag that I can show to attract whatever mate that this is gonna entrap. And there's a lot of others that are gonna be like, hey, I may believe in strong women, but I don't, I believe in equality or something, right? But then, if that's the image, oh, how dare you not be against feminism is equality, right? So I think this issue with language and the policing of language is actually putting us in more trouble, because now we can't use terms if we disagree, and then we no longer are talking about what we disagree, but about the words we use in our disagreement. Does that make any sense?
Of course, yeah. I think like a lot of the conversation we're having is stuff like actually a lot of people are talking about, but we all feel like no one is talking about. But like so many people have had the conversations we're
But
having.
how do you bridge the
but-
divide? How do you bridge the divide?
I don't know.